It is Ephanine, aka Epi, aka we are changing everything up today. I am just gonna completely change the type of videos that I've done on here before and go with something very, very different, but something that hopefully you guys find interesting. When I first started this YouTube channel, I was kind of just making the same type of videos that I saw everybody else making, but I have noticed that I just haven't been as excited to make those videos. So instead of trying to focus on doing what everybody else is doing, I'm just gonna start making the kind of videos that I like to watch and that I would want to watch. And that is why today's video is actually gonna be a missing persons case. I love true crime stuff. I love missing person stories. I love unsolved mysteries. I love aliens. I love ghosts. I love just things that are maybe a little out there to some people, but they're really interesting to me. And I really just want to make the kind of videos that I would want to watch and that I do watch. So that's why this is happening. If you are not already subscribed, please make sure to hit that button now. It's super, super easy, and it really does help me out a lot. And if you guys would like to see more content like this, please make sure to give me a thumbs up so that I know you guys are responding to it well. Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into today's video. So for our video today, we are going to be talking about the disappearance of a little boy named Cody Haynes, who lived in a town called Kittitas, Washington. Now the reason I chose this to be my first kind of true crime story is that it's a really, really local story. Cody went missing from a town that I've lived in. I have family who lives there. I still live very close to this town. My husband lived in this town when it happened, and he remembers hearing about it and seeing it on the news. So I just figured since it was local, it would be good because it could be something that could be really interesting for everybody to hear about. But also, since it is an unsolved case, I figured maybe it would just help get his name out there a little bit more, help more people hear about Cody. So hopefully something can happen as a result of his disappearance. And some questions can be answered or some sort of resolution can happen. So we'll start by saying that Cody lived in a little town, and I mean little town, called Kittitas, Washington. This is one of those towns where I think there's honestly more cows than there are people. Everyone knows everybody. Everybody knows everybody's business. Everyone knows everything about everybody. It's just that kind of a place. Now, Cody lived with his father, Richard Haynes, he went by Rick, and his stepmother, Marla Jay Harding. And they lived in downtown Kittitas. I don't even know if you can say that, but on Main Street in a little 2-story house. Nothing super crazy. None of the houses there are anything fancy, but it was just a nice little 2-story house. Now, the inside of this house, unfortunately, was not as nice. There was reports of emotional and physical abuse and neglect at both the hands of the father and also the stepmother. There's some stuff that has been proven, some stuff that hasn't been proven, but there's reports of Cody and his 4 sisters being forced to stand outside in the snow without jackets or shoes on. There's reports of them being beaten with sticks or like boards while straddling a kitty litter box because they would pee while they were getting abused and the parents didn't want to clean it up. There were reports of Cody and his sisters being driven to a shopping mall about 45 minutes to an hour away, and Cody being left in the car while his stepmom and sisters went inside and went shopping. And in the climate that we live in here, summers are really hot and winters are really cold. So it's not the kind of environment at almost any time of year that you would be leaving somebody in a car, especially a child. So there was just a lot of really horrific reports of abuse that were happening, and the elementary school principal had actually called CPS twice on Rick and Marla, and twice Child Protective Services showed up, deemed that they were safe parents, and the kids were all left in custody of Rick and Marla. And I think it is interesting to note that Marla used to be a CPS worker. She was fired in February of 2001 for misconduct. She was denied unemployment benefits in court. So I don't know what she got fired over, but it shows that she probably wasn't very good at her job but she did know enough about child protective laws to maybe be able to skirt around some stuff and to hide what was actually happening in the home. And it's even reported that after CPS was called by the principal, that Marla and Rick pulled all of the kids out of public school and started homeschooling them. And even then, CPS didn't do any sort of a welfare check. Nobody did any check to make sure that these kids were actually learning anything or that any sort of schooling was actually happening. This is one of those stories that's really sad to hear about, because I feel like this boy was just failed by so many different people, starting with his parents, and then secondly with CPS, and just, it's heartbreaking, but I won't get ahead of myself. So we're going to fast forward now to the night of September 11th, 2004. Now, Marla and Cody were fighting. It was after dinner time, and Marla wanted Cody to do his chores, to pick up the dishes, to help clean up. Cody didn't want to. I don't know the exact details about why they were fighting, but they were fighting. And Marla had made Cody sit in a chair in the dining room until midnight, and then finally had sent him to his room. And when she sent him to his room, she told his sisters, don't go in his room, don't go near his room, just stay away. Pretty much under any circumstance, just don't go near Cody's room. So, okay, they sent him to his room at midnight, and nobody thinks to check on Cody until 4 o'clock the next day. And I don't mean 4 o'clock in the morning, I mean 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Like 14 hours after he had been sent to his room was he finally checked on. Nobody brought him food, nobody had brought him water, nobody had brought him out to use the bathroom, nothing. They just left him there for 14 hours. And when they went to go check on him, he was gone. He wasn't in his room. He was nowhere to be found. Now, immediately, this is a missing child. You would think that the parents would be frantic and that they would report him missing and they would go out and look for him and they would do everything that they can to find him. And that just didn't happen, which is a huge red flag. Now, Rick Haynes did report his son missing to the police that night, but when everybody went to go look for Cody, Rick and Marla didn't go. They were not part of the search to find their son. They just didn't help at all, which I can't comprehend. I can't imagine. I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me, but they didn't help. Obviously, after this, anytime a child goes missing, the family is always going to be the first suspects. So the cops started doing some investigating, and obviously they wanted to find out, well, where were the parents the night that this happened? Where was Marla and where was Rick? Now, Marla will admit she was at home, and her and Cody got in a fight. She sent him to his room. She didn't see him after that. That was it. Rick's story is very strange. So Rick reports that Cody was sent to his room at midnight, and then at 2:30 in the morning, Rick had to go look for car parts. Now, like I said, Kittitas is a tiny, tiny town. There's nothing around. But for some reason, 2:30 in the morning was the only time that Cody's dad could go look for car parts. So he took a vehicle and went to go look for car parts at 2:30 in the morning, did not come home until 4 p.m. the next afternoon. He was the one who apparently noticed that Cody was missing and called the cops. So he was gone for a very long time. So his dad was gone for 14 hours looking for car parts, which is just the biggest pile of bullshit I've ever heard in my life, but whatever. So a few days after, on September 17th, the police showed up to their house and the cops wanted to question Cody's sisters. They wanted to find out what had happened. They wanted to find out if they knew anything. They wanted to find out if they had any info, just so they could have somewhere to start, because other than Cody's dad being sketchy, but them having no proof of it, they didn't have any idea where Cody was. The searches were not turning up anything. There was just no information. So the cops showed up to the house, and Haynes refused to let the cops talk to his daughters. Wanted nothing to do with it, would not let them talk to him, would not let them ask them any questions. And this was pretty suspicious to the cops. So they once again contacted CPS. CPS came in, and this time the children actually were removed from the home. So after the daughters were taken from the home, they were put into foster care. And originally, they did not really want to answer any questions about Cody. They were really hesitant to give up any information. And then after a while, they started to talk a little bit more. And it came out that they had heard Cody being severely beaten that night. And then there's also reports of one of them saying that they heard a really loud thud and then hearing Marla say, "What do we do now?" Now, once the cops heard this, they obviously wanted to go see if they could find any evidence of this or find any, physical evidence, any blood or something like that. So they went to go search the house, and all of the floorboards had been changed. And Marla and Rick did not own this house, so it was not a house that they could just change the floorboards of. They did not have the landlord's permission to do this, but they did it. So any blood evidence that there may have been was gone. It wasn't there. All the floorboards had been changed. Not only that, but Marla and Rick's cars were also both impounded to be searched. And from Rick, they took a Suburban, and they didn't find anything in it. They said in Marla's car they did find something, but they never said what it was. And it was later reported that the car that Rick was driving that night was not even the Suburban that was towed. It was a different car that he sold 2 days after Cody went missing, and it got scrapped out. So if there was any evidence in that car from possibly taking Cody's body from the house to wherever it was dumped at or buried at, all of that evidence was gone as well. Now, another really interesting thing to bring up is that in the days after Cody's disappearance, Rick and Marla got married. Why would they do that, you say? Because if you're married, they can't make you testify against each other. Which means that if Rick and Marla were in on this together and they were married, they did not have to rat each other out for stuff. They did not have to lie under oath to try to keep each other safe. They just couldn't testify against each other. So that, again, was just another really suspicious thing. So on October 22nd, this was now 41 days after Cody had gone missing, the police had called Harding and Haynes down to the police station, and they requested to interview Haynes just one-on-one. They did not want Harding there. They just wanted to hear his side of the story. And Harding would not allow this. She was not okay with it happening. She was like, hell to the no, and they lawyered up. And since that day, they have refused to work with the cops. They won't talk to them. They won't do interviews. They won't answer any questions. They will do nothing. It was said that reporters were going to the door and Marla was slamming the door in their face, saying that she didn't want her life to be ruined by this event. They just became very, very uncooperative. Rick and Marla have actually since divorced. They're not even together anymore. And I was hoping that maybe when that happened, that one of them would be willing to talk, but nobody said anything. Oh, and then so they hold a candlelight vigil every year, and Rick has never gone. He's came up with a whole bunch of excuses. He has a bad back. He doesn't have anywhere to stay in Kittitas because he moved. He doesn't want to go to vigils because vigils are for dead people. He just doesn't want to help, which to me shows that he knows exactly what happened to Cody, and he doesn't want people to find out because he was involved in it. There was reports of Marla saying that Cody was a deceitful child who needed to be punished. There was just, the previous reports of horrible physical abuse that had already happened in this house. And this is just such a sad case to read about because I think it's horribly obvious what happened. The police don't have any evidence, so they can't prove it. So to this day, there has still been no justice for Cody. There is still no answers. There have been bones found several times in the areas kind of around here, but none of them have been identified as Cody yet. So it's all just a really, really big mystery, and it's a heartbreaking mystery. If I go into stores in the area, there's still posters up with people wanting information, with people just asking to turn in any sort of info that you may have to the police department so that at some point the rest of his family can get some justice and can get some answers and can find out what happened to Cody. Because it is important to point out that the rest of his family has been really helpful with the police and has been talking to the police. And his mom has been the one doing vigils. Cody's gone missing. She's been very, very involved and very active in trying to find her son. And I'm really, really hoping that maybe someday, whether he's found alive or it's just his remains that are found, I'm hoping someday that we can find him and we can get some answers and we can get some justice for Cody Haynes. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked this, please give it a thumbs up. If you have heard of Cody Haynes and you know any sort of information, I will leave contact information for the proper authorities in the box below so that you can let people know. And even if you don't have any information, please just share this video. Just help get his story out there, help get his name out there, help get his picture out there so that we can help his family find some answers and we can get some justice. So yeah, I mean, I wish I had more answers for you guys. I wish I had a happy ending to this story, but I don't, unfortunately. This is one that there is no answers to yet, and I'm hoping someday there will be. And before the video ends really quick, I did want to give a shout out to one of my viewers who gave me a shout out on his channel, and I really appreciated it, so I just wanted to return the favor. I know sometimes subject matter like this can be a little bit depressing and a little bit disheartening, so I encourage you to go check out the Positive World channel on YouTube. It is just a lot of like reaction videos and reading comments and just generally positive things that can make you maybe feel a little bit better emotionally than this video did. So I encourage you to go check out his channel. He gave me a shout out and I just really appreciated it and wanted to return the love. So if you guys need something to cheer you up a little bit, maybe you can go check out that channel. I mean, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys again for 1,000 subs. It really does mean a really, really big deal to me, and it's really exciting to see that happen. So again, if you know anything about Cody, please let me know. If you have any ideas about what may have happened to him or you have theories of your own, please leave that down in the comment section below. But always make sure to keep it respectful. That is very important to me. And yeah, thank you guys so much. I love all of you very, very much, and we will touch base soon. Bye.